Hello all and welcome to History with R&R live, which is going to be real fun because not even Jeff knows what the topic's going to be. Isn't that just great, folks? But before we get to that mess, I have a few things I need to say. First of all, can everyone hear me and how does the audio sound? If I can get a sound check in the chat, that would be great. More on that in a moment. Jeff, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty well today, all things considered. But how are
Yeah.
you?
The less I speak about that, the less depressed our audience is going to be. How about that?
Okay, let's run with that.
Is
That's
that fair
fine.
enough? Let's just say the pain gods are loving me today. Random Menace says stop yelling. Okay. How about this? Is that better? Now I'm gonna get to why I'm asking so many stupid questions. All right. So as many of you may know, a couple of weeks ago, and Thomas, this is pertinent. So to your conversation with Mrs. Canuck, as many as you may know, a couple of weeks ago, my computer decided that it needed to go to the computer place in the sky and died. So I have
I didn't
had
know
to
there was
use
such
the
a place.
yeah, we're trying to be nice, right? So it died. It just went, yep, no, I quit. I resign. I'm done. F off, and just would never shut up, turn on again. Uh, uh, so it just died. So I had to use the backup computer for the last couple of weeks, and that was fun and entertaining. So Mrs. Canuck put up with me swearing, cursing, and yelling, and getting very angry. And we found a computer that was better than the one I had before, and wouldn't send me into debt for the next 20 years. And we purchased said computer, uh, and we ordered said computer, and it finally arrived over the weekend. Well, no, at the end of last week it arrived. I think Friday. It was supposed to be here Thursday, but then we got a whole bunch of snow. It was delayed by a day. Go figure. And it came on Friday. So my new system gets here. I'm all happy. I open it up. I get it all put together. And we find out that my boom mic doesn't work on it, which
Go
was
figure.
a a wonderful thing to find out. Um, so, which of course sent me into more swearing and cursing and a whole bunch of other things.
I didn't
Um,
hear all that.
yeah. So, my wonderful woman went online and found me a USB boom mic that will work with my new computer and ordered it, and it arrived yesterday, and that is what I am broadcasting on now, my brand new boom mic. So thank you, my dear. Um, um, yes. So it is all bright and shiny. So we have new system, new mic, and that's why I did. How does my audio sound? Because I have on this new mic, I have a volume button. So well, first of all, that's why when Random Menace says stop yelling, I'm like, oh, is my volume too high? Uh, because it has a volume button on it, which my old mic didn't. It also has a mute button on it, so now I can sit behind an avatar and mute and swear at people and not have to worry about it coming over a live mic. No, I'm just kidding. Um, um, so uh, so that's where we sit. So now I can see one of my big hangups, Thomas Potts, with dealing with Java was I had to do Java on the old system because my old main computer wouldn't run Java. So I had to do it on the bedroom computer. Even out using the bedroom computer, it was laggy as hell. So I'd play Minecraft in Java and I'd get frustrated and angry and mad. because it would just
More
lag all
cursing.
over the place.
More cursing.
And now, with the new system, I don't have that problem anymore. So, yay me. I can even play Command and Conquer, which means there's going to be a new stream coming to Rambling Canuck as soon as I test it to make sure it works with StreamYards. Because sometimes it'll work. Sometimes with the old system, it would work fine. Like a game would work fine on its own, but then if you add StreamYards, it goes to all hell. So anyway, so new system, new mic. Miss Canuck had to put up with a lot of me ready to go and commit Harry Carey and genocide of all computer makers a few times. And then my mic almost ended up through out a window because it wouldn't work. And yeah, that got my blood pressure risen, which was perfect because I had to go to dialysis right after. Yeah, that machine loved me. So that all that headache is done now. We have the new system. We have the new USB port, which we had to get because apparently I have too many things on USB. And we got the new mic. So, yay me, I have basically a whole new system, which is just lovely. Yeah. My son has actually been on the damn thing more than I have, and he's been, Dad, it really works really well. Okay, thanks. Now I'm going to use my own computer. Anyway, so with that said, big long random intro. So a thank you to Mrs. Canuck, and thank you to everyone who's put up with the other machine for the last week and a half. I haven't been able to record anything. I haven't been able to do anything. I've got everything on this computer pretty much that I need to be able to proceed. So we should be getting recorded videos back up and running. Okay, with all that out of the way. Now, this morning we were supposed to have our your boss over there at Question of Trek.
Oh, wait a minute, my boss?
Yeah, isn't that the way it works?
No, I'm his boss.
Oh, you're his boss. Okay.
Yes. Yes. I'm
her
the admiral.
boss, isn't it now? Her boss.
Her.
Yeah.
I'm still getting used to the pronouns
already. Jeez, Jeff.
I know. I'm horrible.
So we were supposed to have Naomi, or AKA as I know her, Conti, on today, and we were going to talk some bad battle plans against Russia. However, apparently the internet has gone out, which is a major issue because apparently you need internet to stream. Who knew?
Since when?
Yeah, I know.
Is that a thing?
Jeez. So unfortunately, our guest can't make it. So
just
I had to pull
hands in the string, pull it tight. It should work, right?
Yeah, you'd think. I thought that's how they do it in Kuroga, but yeah, whatever. No big deal. All right.
I'm glad I have something a little more sophisticated than that.
Yeah, apparently
I am in Kuroga, but I'm trying to get out.
All right. Here's the plan. I could sit here and I could talk about the topic we were going to talk about, but then I'd be stealing all of the future material. So instead, I think we're now going to be doing one of these. Richard, they forced me to do it. Please don't be mad at me. We're going to go into almost dangerous territory, and we're going to go into a topic that I've talked about here before. But I think with current events, it's worth repeating. And that is, if we ever needed to remember history, it's now. We have a bad habit right now of allowing our history to be eradicated. We have a bad habit to appease certain groups to allow our history to be deleted, to allow our history to be shunned, to allow our history to somehow have an identity. Like, for some reason, we have this modern viewpoint that we look back on things, and if they don't match the modern status quo, they're not allowed to be taught. They're not allowed to, books definitely aren't allowed to be written about them, because if you write about it somehow, even if you study it somehow, you automatically are lumped into that group. And you must think like they do. Otherwise, you wouldn't research it. Which is absolute bullshit. Which is why it is very hard to find a person like Tino, who we had on this channel a little while ago. Tino, well, you're welcome. From Lost Battlefields. And why I was so eager to get him on the channel. It is hard to find someone that will objectively go back to World War II and research on the Axis side. And I don't mean support the Axis. What I mean by that is do research about the Axis. It's very hard to find that now.
To see it from their perspective.
And to try to look at it from their perspective and not the narrative perspective. There's two different versions there. There's from their point of view and from the narrative point of view. And the narrative point of view is acceptable. The other way is not. Because in modern thinking, the narrative is the truth. Anything that says otherwise is conspiracy theory, bullshit, or made fun of, or bastardized until you either go away or they cancel your ass. And I'm kind of being a little bit more languagey than I normally am. But this is a topic that I don't talk about very often because it is something that I'm very passionate about. And out of respect for Richard, I try to keep this channel straight to the facts and facts only. And I tried it very, very hard to maintain that. But I think it's very important that we take a pause and we remember how quickly we forget history, or how quickly we warp history if it suits us. Those are two very dangerous things. Forgetting history and warping history to fit a narrative. And we do a lot of that. I won't go into this too much. I go into it in my other channel, but there is a movement going on here in Canada right now. And yesterday, I won't go into it, but yesterday was painful to watch, which is why I didn't. As a Canadian, it was a bad day. It's a bad day at the office.
Maybe you need to fill in people on exactly what did happen yesterday. No, you're going to.
Well, I still haven't done all my investigating. I've seen bits and pieces. So I'm one that I don't just take the top headline and run with it. I like to look into, but from what the pictures I've seen, there was a protest on a bridge here in Canada and Ontario. And they went in with the military and arrested everybody. They took military arms in and arrested peaceful protesters to get them out of their way. They deployed
Sad
snipers against people who had no guns, no knives, no Molotov cocktails, no, just signs and trucks. It's despicable to me. I mean, part of my emotion is swayed because I agree with the truckers. But they weren't being violent. Yeah, they were blocking your border crossing, but one was hurt. There was no violence. I don't understand. But yeah. So I haven't fully done my research on it yet, so I can't talk too much about it because a lot of it right now is just feeling. It's not backed up by facts, and I like to be able to back up my feeling with facts. It's just who I am. But we have things that are going on right now. It's crazy to me how things that are happening right now in the world, you could go deja vu all over again. Just change the name of certain places or name of certain things and go from there. And it would be almost identical. There is a little issue over the weekend that is taking place that again I have to do more research on because I was out of it this weekend, so I didn't do a lot of what I normally do, which is read headlines and look at things and go, okay, that's a cute story. Now what's the real one? But there we had it on Rambling Canuck, I believe, a little while ago. We had a conversation about the Ukraine and that situation, and whether or not it was Western propaganda that was propping this up, or if there was an actual issue. And we had our friend from the future on, and we had a good discussion on that. But we have where I don't think it's been a very long time, maybe I'm longer than I've been alive, since I've heard a president of the United States declare, yeah, you better get out of Dodge because if you don't and it goes south, we ain't coming for you. It's been a very, I don't think I've ever heard those words out of an American president ever.
Well, I have my opinions on the current president.
Yes. And I'm not going to get political at all, but yeah. I'm just saying these are moments in our modern history that goofy people like me, 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, will be talking about and making videos about. If you stop and think about it. Moments like that will be will be talked about in about 10 or 15 years, whether it was good or bad. It's like the Cuban Missile Crisis. That could have went either way, right? We trumpet Kennedy as a major success, and that was his biggest achievement and his biggest triumph, staring down the Russian bear. If that had gone differently, we don't know how history would have wrote it. But again, we sit there and it's a scary proposition, and a lot of people don't realize that because they're too busy, and they're too rightfully so. They're too busy, caught up in their own day to day. They're too caught up in, oh, I've got to take the kids to school. I've got to get to work. Jimmy's got football. Jamie's got ballet, and I've somehow got to figure out what we're cooking for dinner tonight. Oh, and my boss just dropped this on my lap. Oh, great!
Not to mention the distraction of COVID that they keep putting in our face.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So you you look around, and you don't stop to, as they say, smell the roses, and realize that every day we live right now, somebody at some point will write a book about events that are going on around us. Because we're in the moment. And to us, this is day to day. Some things are egregious, some things are stupid, and some things we put on a higher pedestal. But all in all, that's not a thought that crosses our minds. That 10 to 15 years down the road from now, maybe even sooner, a lot of the events that are happening right now will be written about. COVID-19 definitely is going to get about a 16-part chapter book. I guarantee it. At some point. And there's going to be movies made about the damn thing. I know it. Hollywood, Hollywood loves disaster movies. Come on. So we sit there and we look at it, and it's just crazy to me. But at the same time, we look back, and we look back with weird glasses. And Tino has mentioned this on his channel a couple of times. It's really interesting how we look back into history. The modern person, for the most part, looks back to history with modern glasses, which you can't do. You cannot apply modern social structs to 1945. Hell, you can't put modern social structure into 1985.
That's very true. Even the
Never
90s.
mind 45, 85. We do it, though. We look back and condemn a society because they don't live like us. Well, here's the rub. In 45, they looked back at 25 and did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
How uncivilized. They don't live like us. It must be part of the human condition. We seem to think we've always peaked. In 45, we thought we peaked. In 50, we thought we peaked. 80, 90, 2000, etc. We always look back like we are better. And in some ways, we are. But at the same time, we cannot apply modern ideals, as one of my friends says, modern ideas and modern ways of living to history. Because it wasn't like that then. And you can't, it's like, I always look at it like this. If you're rebuilding a motor and you're rebuilding a motor from 1969, you got that brand new, you got that 1969 Corvette, and you've been working hard on the body work. You got it looking right. You got it so that all the parts are original, so that really, really bad car nuts won't yell at you. And you're rebuilding that motor and you need one more part. Well, you can't go to the store and buy a brand new Corvette motor part and put it on that 69 motor. Unless it's a replica, which we're not going to get into. But you're not going to be able to put a high performance part from a brand new Corvette on that motor. It just won't fit. It won't run. Won't fit. You could probably make it fit by forcing it, and then something else is going to go wrong, and you're going to either put too much torque on the motor and blow it to shit, or something is going to go terribly, terribly wrong.
Yep.
If you think about that in the way of research and history, you can't take modern and put it on the old and expect it to fit. It's just not going to. That is where we were. This is where we are. It's different. You can't look at modern. You can't take a modern construct and apply it to a past construct. It doesn't work. And in order to fully understand what is going on at that time, you have to think like you're in that time. Not. And the other fallback that a lot of historians have is they love hindsight is 2020. They know something went terrible. Okay? So they know that the war ended badly for Japan. Therefore, Pearl Harbor was the stupidest thing they ever did. Hands down. Because the war ended badly for them. It woke up the giant. The United States' industry went in. That was the worst decision they ever made. Okay. With hindsight, you are correct, sir. In the moment, what was their options? Allow the Pacific Fleet to just sit there? The Pacific Fleet was far superior to the fleet they had in surface ships. So were they just supposed to leave that flank open?
Yeah, they probably knew that the U.S. would get involved at some point.
They're just going to attack the East Indies and the Philippines and leave the right. Yeah, I like that, Thomas. But you get what I'm saying, right? With hindsight, you can say that was dumb. But in the moment, when you're rationally thinking about, well, what other options did they have? If they were going ahead with this attack plan, what other option did they have? You leave the Pacific Fleet sitting in Hawaii, and then what? Hope you can deal with them on a surface action down the road? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you're listening about history, or you're watching it or reading it, or even watching it unfold in front of you, ask yourself, who's writing? So who's the narrator? That's important. Because if you don't know who the narrator is, you don't know, one, how reliable, how much salt to add to the story, and from what vantage point you're hearing it. So you always need to know who the narrator is, because the narrator can shape an opinion in your head without even saying it. Without modern day, they just put it in like highlighted freaking neon lights in front of you and go, "This is what you're supposed to think." Um, there was a fine art of doing it at one point, where you would get convinced of something without even knowing you're being convinced of something. Um, but at any rate, you always want to know who your narrator is. And if you don't know, find out. Now, by narrator, it could be who's writing the book, from which vantage point you're hearing this story. For instance, if you look at something as simple as, you ever hear the saying, there's his side, her side, and then there's the truth, right? His side, this side, that side, and the truth, right?
Understanding is a three-edged sword.
Yeah.
There's your side, their side, and the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to find out who your narrator is. Because if your narrator is being paid by the Allied press, which slant do you think you're getting? Just throwing that out there. So always know who your narrator is. Very important. Because it can help you understand where, if you need more information or if this is impartial, you can tell, but you need to know your narrator. Know the parties involved in said situation and research both. Don't just take the proper side's viewpoint. Like you could look into something. World War II is a good example because it's really easy. Where there was a battle or a conflict or a situation that happened, and there will be the Allied side and there will be the Axis side of the story. Now, if you only read it from the Allied side, you only have the Allied side. If you only read it from the Axis side, you only have the Axis side. You need both to formulate a picture. Have a good day, Dave G, and hopefully everything is going well, and hope you have a great day. But so you need to know your narrator, you need to know the subject matter, and you need to know the parties involved. Because if you don't, you're more than likely only have half the story, if you're lucky. And you can't formulate an opinion. People do, but yeah, that always baffles my mind. I always loved when I used to go into World War II debates, and I'd ask them, well, did you read what the Germans were doing at the time? Well, no, this is what the Allies were doing, and this is why it was wrong. Did you read what the other side was doing at the time? No, I don't have to. Well, this is going to be a short debate. Next. I guess I just freed up my afternoon. And look for things in stories The ones I always love are the ones that go out of their way before you even read or listened to a word of what they've told you to tell you that they are impartial and 100% telling you the facts and everything that happened. They're going out of their way beforehand to tell you you may want to buy another book or two. Just, if they're
Everyone
going out of
have
their way before they've even opened their mouth to tell you something, yeah, it's like when your buddy at work comes up to you and goes, "You are not going to believe this." There is a reason he's prefacing this next sentence with, "You're not going to believe this," right? Sorry, Life with Matthew. He had internet issues, so that led me to go down a rabbit hole because I had to come up with a show out of thin air. So hopefully, this has been this is entertaining, or at least informative, and I'm not boring everybody to death. Too much.
Oh, no, this has been interesting.
Jeff, do you have any
I'll
thoughts on my rambles?
Yeah, just one thought. You also have to consider your own set of biases when you're researching because they're going to color what you're reading and researching. So try to put that to the side as much as you can and consider all sides because you may find that you're just taking in the information that agrees with you.
Yes. That is a
And
very
yes,
good
Darius.
point.
Darius, Rambling Canuck does ramble.
Yes. Even though I try not to on this channel too much. I end up doing it anyway. But, that's a very good point. All of us try to tell ourselves that we are unbiased and we look at all sides of an information and we don't go into something with a predetermined decision. That, my friend, is called bullshit. We do. If you have walked around a corner and stubbed your toe 4 times out of 5, you will assume that when you round that corner, you're going to stub your toe. And when you go into a situation, if you are leaning, it's like when somebody looks at a headline or a trending tweet, you can often tell where their head's at sometimes, especially when it's just the person's name. I always love those because I love to see people's reactions. I have a friend that if he sees somebody that he likes trending, his immediate reaction is, "Oh, please tell me they're not dead." That's the immediate reaction. He's looking for an obit immediately to make sure that this person is not kicked the bucket.
I have to admit, I've done that.
Now, the other one is, "Oh, what has this moron done now?" There's no other context, just their name is trending. "Oh, what has this moron done now?" You're pre-exposing yourself that he must have done something wrong. Right? And then there's some that just go, "Why the hell is he trending?" And they click on it. Or she, or it, or whatever. But it's a fun thing to sit there and examine yourself. Because when you're looking at things like that, hold what first came to your mind and then review yourself. When you saw that, like when you saw Star Wars was trending, what was your first gut instinct? "Oh God, what have they done now?" if that, right? And to our Star Wars fans, I've had that exact reaction more than once. Star Trek's the same thing.
Yeah.
Now you see Star Trek trending. Oh no, what have they done? Oh, what
Kurtzman, what have you
now?
done now?
What have they done now? Right? And you've pre-exposed yourself that and you're programming your brain that when you see one thing, your immediate emotion is going to be dread. Right? You're pre-programming your brain. And we do this every day. And we do the same thing in history. If we see a documentary on the Germans from 36 to 45, we expect that it is going to be on how terrible they were, and we expect to see concentration camps. We expect to see brutal treatment of people. We expect to see people in black uniforms. We have expectations.
Yeah. That's
And
what
we
we're used to
immediately,
seeing or hearing.
yeah. And if somebody were to find that one SS officer that did a good thing, we immediately go, well, that never could have happened. They don't do that. We love to do that too. So I think I'm gonna wrap this up by saying, when you're researching history, remember these points. Know your narrator. Know who's telling the story. Even if you're just reading a book, that still there's a narrator in there, the writer. Know who's writing this book. Know from which vantage point the narrator sat on. And if you don't know your narrator, get to know your narrator. Secondly, learn who all was in said issue. And see, and most importantly, look at it from all sides. And try very hard to put aside your own biases. And fourthly, never, ever bring modern constructs into history. It don't end well. And you start creating enemies where there wasn't enemies at the time, which falsifies your data.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing a lot of that lately.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes, unfortunately. And always be careful of warped history. If something sounds off, look into it. Because 9 times out of 10 it is. And with that, I'm going to thank Jeff. I'm going to let you do your plugs, and then we're going to get out of here.
Well, for a plug, I was going to let Conte do it today because he's the host of the channel. But since he's not here, just want to welcome everyone and invite everyone to A Question of Trek. It's a fun quiz show that we have, Star Trek quiz show on Sundays at 4:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're in the chat, maybe you get a chance to be a contestant on the show or come up and ask a question of the panel. We just have a lot of fun, a lot of banter, and a lot of jokes, and we want to see you there. So come see us on Sundays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, and I have it on good, reliable information that there's some very nice animated skits.
That too, yes. Zoe does a great job with those, and then we voice the characters.
For me, I'm going to try to have the roundtable up this morning or on Friday. This morning's recording kind of got thrown off because I couldn't get out of my bed. But we will try to reschedule and rebook that so that you guys will hear it on Friday. Then we will return for the live stream. And then I believe Mrs. Canuck has a stream this Wednesday. I'm hoping. I think
Maybe
this is
she
the
can
week it's on
confirm in
Wednesday.
chat.
I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, I think it's her new game on Wednesday. Because no. Yeah, I think it's Wednesday. But I believe if you need further on that, just go to Mary's Game Room. She has every second Monday. There's a live stream, and at the moment, it's every second Saturday. I know this Saturday they don't have one. She has family engagements to do. But I know it's every second Saturday and every second Monday and every second Wednesday, which might be moving to every Saturday, but she hasn't decided yet. Last I checked. Oh, okay, interesting. All right, so with that, and then of course, Rambling Canuck, I'm going to have a couple of more streams on my favorite topic as of late. I know I want to do at least one more on the debacle that is Canada right now. Also coming to Rambling Canuck soon, I'll be doing a Command and Conquer playthrough because it's just been forever and I love that game. That was my childhood. So we're going to go back and see how many times I can die in that game. And then, of course, Minecraft with the Canucks. And I believe Mary is working on a movie review thing that should be interesting. It'll be fun and entertaining. You'll get to see me review a few movies that will probably make my head hurt. But that'll be fun. But more for that on Rambling Canuck coming up soon. And I see you're busy throwing links in there. Awesome. Yep. Thank you.
And I just want to throw out Life with Matthew has a premiere going on right now.
Oh, awesome. And definitely check out our buddy Life with Matthew, who we need to have on here again a couple more times. And with that, folks, as I always do, thank you and good night.